I am just mind boggled about what I just did. I'm Michael the Mechanical, and I just realized something like, what the hell have I done today? So, to explain, I wanted a tray for under a ute box for under my ute tray, and I meant to buy the left one for the rear driver's side, and that's what I've done. But to get to there, I thought about buying one earlier, and I decided, nah, I'm not going to buy one. I feel too tempted to that I want to just go out and buy one right here, right now. So what I did was I went into my bank account, and I looked at my money, and I was like, you know what, just to remove the temptation of wanting to buy one, I just noticed there's a whole bunch of cobwebs up there. To remove the temptation of wanting to buy a ute box right now, I took about 1.5 times my money, and I put it across 3 different accounts. So the box was going to cost me about $250 from memory, and so I put away $390, I believe it was. So I put $130 in one account, $130 into another, $130 into another to save up some money. And I was thinking to myself, you know what? I'll use the savings to buy the box. Okay, it's just seems cool that I was able to do this in such a weird way. It just makes sense that, you know, that it doesn't make sense at the same time it does. So I did that to save up money. Then what I've done recently is I bought the box, and I bought a BSPF 19 TPI 3/8 gas tap die, because I kind of need one for a project because I've got something wrong with mine, ones that are threaded on my machine. Anyway, I did that, and I got to a point where I'm paying. The total is $260 for those 2 items, so not $200 to the under tray box. And because I'm treating it as a personal expense, not a business, I didn't really want to put it on my business card, and so I was trying to figure out strategically what can I do. Anyway, get to the checkout. I then I choose the card that I want it to come off of. I did that successfully. And now I have on order my ute box, my die, and it's going to come here. And at the same time, I'm going to be paying about $60 per fortnight to buy my ute box, which is great because the timing will be perfect, because I'm going to be installing it probably earlier, or not even until the thing's paid off anyway. So I've taken advantage of the Boxing Day sale by using Afterpay to leverage my money that I'm going to be getting something later, but I'm getting a promotional item now, which it sounds wrong, but you have to realize why this is so cool right now. I do not have to pay $1 towards this box for about a fortnight, and I have to wait about 3-4 days before my wage comes in from work, and my money is now at a point that it normally is at when I'm just like going, well, oh shit. My next big bill is on the 8th of January, so I've got some time on my side, but I put all of the money and I split it into different accounts to save up to earn interest. And if it earns interest in each of those accounts, if I touch any one of them, that resets the clock on whether or not I'm going to be saving anything, hence why I've got 3 accounts and why I'm putting more money away. I know it doesn't make sense. It is very hard to explain, but the idea is if I need money in an emergency and I'm trying to save up money, if I touch one of the 3 accounts, it'll only reset to one of the accounts, meaning 2 will be saving at the premium rate. And it's really an interesting tactic that I'm trying to pull there, because I've been actively pulling money, and one is meant to be a slow rate of, you know, putting only a tiny bit of money in, and another is at a higher rate, and another one is just do whatever you can, essentially. So earn money based on whatever I can put into that account. So 2 of them are based on how much I put away. One of them is like $2 a day. So every week I put $14 into that account. And let's just say the last few weeks and months, I have actually been pulling all the money out, because I have actually emergency fund needed money, and then I have money that's locked away that I can't even touch, and it's like, oh shit, what do you do? So every time I spend money, it is always a little bit scary. So now I put myself in a weird position where I don't have to pay for the item until fortnight. So in a fortnight, I'll be doing the first payment, and then I got 3 more after that. It sounds bad, but here's why it's so good, for me at least. I've now got an extra $50 on my points right now. Here's where the hack is. I got $50 right now that I can use to buy something right now during the sale. And then that will mean that I could get another 50 points. And then another 50 points on top of whatever I buy then. But I don't need to buy anything right now. So I was looking at it and like, this just taught me a real good hack. A really good hack when I go to buy my bandsaw. Okay, it sounds crazy. But when I go to buy my bandsaw, I could potentially buy something that I need, get the points from that, and then use that to help pay for the bandsaw, which in turn will give me even more points. And it just seems like cheating in a way, but at the same time it's not really. The logistics of it is not perfectly clear. And I have to really calculate. It just seems like it's such a great thing. But it's probably not. So be financially wise. Do your own homework, because these point systems are there to make you think a little bit. But you have to put pen to paper to realize, and this is the facts, it's not really worth doing like that unless you have something to buy and you don't want to put all the capital up. You find a strategic way to buy something, because if you can afford to buy one thing right now, and you can then use that credit to buy another thing that you need, and you can do it like this, you've just saved yourself money on problems. For example, if I buy my bandsaw, I might get $200, $400, $600 back. Okay? Here's the thing I'm trying to explain, which is why it doesn't make sense. If I can get that money back, because this whole picture doesn't make sense. It's a really weird picture. This is why I'm like kind of weirdly excited. I can get the credits from my bandsaw. Then, within a day or two of the same sale that is still ongoing, I have credits of anywhere between $200 and $600. I will use that $600 plus a bit of extra to buy even more bandsaw blades, which I've never bought. I haven't bought any bandsaw blades. When I bought the bandsaw, it comes with the one blade, and it's probably not suitable for what I cut. But I can then buy the bandsaw blades and buy some oil for the bandsaw. And then from that sale of items within the same, promotional period, I will then get another credit. I think I'd get another credit, but I would get another credit because I'm buying something and I'm using loyal credit, plus I'm using my cash to buy something to get more credit. And then I'll get even more credit in theory. I don't know if this was actually work in practice, but get even more credit. And then you can use that credit either still during that sale or after the sale is finished to go and buy what you actually, other things you need or things you want. And the only reason I'm looking at it as a free piece thing is because you buy the major piece of plant that you need, you use the credits and points from that sale to go and buy the things you need for that, the consumables, and then from that you'll get an extra credit thing that will allow you to buy what you want. Buy the major piece you need, buy the little things you need, and then buy anything you want. And don't worry about trying to accumulate points, because if you go down this loophole that I think I've found, I don't know if it's a real loophole or not, but if you go down this rabbit hole, you will go broke. These bonus point things are not something to muck around with, because there could be a loophole. You could save yourself hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, but you also could lose it all. They might make a loss. You might make a loss. Everyone's a loser. They are making money off of selling this equipment, which is great. because if you can keep them in business, that's good. They're giving you these points. It's a nice promotional thing, right? Very, very nice that they can do this for a promotion period and give you points. The problem is, if you use points to buy things, it is highly possible that you cannot use those points to get even more points. You might just have to use pure cash money to buy what you need, where if you use 1 point, no promotional thing applies. You have to read the T's and C's. This is not necessarily a loophole, but I just figured that seems so amazing that you could probably do that. Probably. You'd have to look at all the companies that do it, and maybe it will work. But I've bought my under tray box, and so on and so forth. Now, let's get to some nitty-gritty business-related stuff while we're here, because I would rather you know where we're at. We are currently at 10.4% approximately profit margin after paying wages. There is no rent, there is no water, there's no electricity in this because it's such a small business and this is a residential premises, so I don't include those things because that's not what this property is actually for. But I am able to, with, under the roof of my parents, blah, 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 I am able to run my business for now. My mum likes to pick on me in a really bad sense, and my brother is like supportive of me and what I'm trying to achieve because it's better than nothing. It's a hustle in their eyes. So my business isn't that profitable. But to get perspective, why my brother supports whatever I'm doing right now is because he put it in perspective to mum. Just 2 years ago, they bought houses in the area. Someone built and bought a house for $400,000 on a little piece of land. They sold it for almost $700,000. My brother said to my mum, things are only going to get worse. There is no way that Michael is going to be able to buy a house in this market unless he really works hard for it. Like, harder. Because he said, your job. He said to mum, Michael's job that he's working is all good and great, but that will not be enough for him to be able to afford to buy a house. He will never own a house on that money. He put things in perspective for my mum. Now, there's still arguing and fighting about things because of this business stuff. The reason I'm doing this business is not just because of my situation, but because of everyone else's. We need night jobs and we need day jobs and we need to be able to fulfill a lot of different things. If I can make my business run 24/7 from like a back end sort of thing, like if there's an overload of work and there's orders to be fulfilled, then maybe I can throw on some overtime for some people, but if the rates go too high, your shift ends, you go home and we have new people come on. But in saying that, it's like having an agreement where you will allow a certain amount of overtime if we have a lot of orders and people are coming in and no one's come in, and then it's like you can work until this time and then you go home because you need your rest. Or you go to your next job or something. Create a circumstance where everyone can benefit if it's worth it, and especially if they are your biggest money makers. Because the thing is, I'm looking at all the numbers and I know my minimum and I know my maximum. And I know if someone's on the low end of the shtick and isn't fulfilling many orders, I'm not going to let them do overtime because they're actually costing the business. And the business doesn't make any margin, any profit, any nothing. So they will be the first ones to go home. The ones who work harder and who have an average that's high enough to say, you know what, you deserve the overtime, they get the overtime. They get a couple of hours overtime, then they go home. The people that we need to do even more hours, they're going to be the ones who are the best at the business and who care about the business and who are moving that business. They're going to be the ones who are given even more flexibility, again, to work their own hours in a sense and earn as much as they can to some degree. Because when they start costing the business, that is when they have to realize this is when you go home. If you want to support this business in surviving, if you want to support yourself, you want all these extra benefits, you need to understand your KPIs, you need to understand the business, and you need to be able to support this business and love this business and care about this business so much that you will quit because you need to recover and the business is getting eaten. You're eating the business, essentially. And if you eat that business, if you destroy that business, you'll have to find another job. So for me, I'm putting in a perspective of the business needs to make a certain margin and it probably will never reach that margin. But in saying that, if we reach that margin, then by all means, go nuts, guys. Do what you got to do. And if we go below that margin, well, we're going to cut things back a little bit and calibrate. We're going to keep the dials calibrated so then the business can keep being profitable, so then people can earn enough money that they can buy a house like this because they are the best workers there are and they deserve that flexibility. The problem is, I'm in no position where I can make that happen. So that being said, the flexibility that I want to create right now is that I can build business, build jobs, build something and get some value out of it, because I personally want to own my own home. I don't want to be stuck here. I'd love to own a farm, but then that's a lot of work. Whether it's worth it or not, I don't know. I think it's like a money pit in a sense. But at least it creates jobs that I could potentially be like, I own the farm, but I hire someone to maintain it for me or to run it, or I lease out the land to someone to run a business off of, in a sense, or do a profit sharing agreement and they operate their business off my land, but there's a profit sharing agreement and they have to share all the financials of running the business, blah, 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 and say that they're not getting rent, but they do have a profit sharing agreement where it says, you know, when they've made so much profit or whatever, that there'll be a profit split sort of thing. Because farming can be both negative and positive. If they don't have to pay rent, that's more money they can invest into putting into the land, into surviving, etc., etc. There is just so many different things with finances, business, and what I just did that people might not understand. You have to understand what I want from this Afterpay thing that I just did. For one, I don't want to spend the money, so I put it into savings. So now that money is going to save money, and that was actually worth more than what the box is. So I've taken the money, and in one hand I've borrowed money, in another hand I'm saving up and earning interest on money. So the money I did not spend directly today is the money that I have then earned interest off in a couple of months. So I haven't actually lost, in a sense. It sounds like I've lost. No way have I lost. I just got $50 credit, plus I'm getting interest. And it was for something that I kind of need. Don't ever do this with things you want. Do this with things you need. Play this strategy with the things you need. And I'm always going to stress the things you need. The reason I need these boxes, or at least this box, is because my customers, wrong word, my passengers are uncomfortable, and it's hard to show you, but my passengers are uncomfortable. All this stuff is literally at their feet. I don't need it in the car like that all the time, and I can put it behind the back seats, but they're already full of stuff. There's even engine oil in the back of the car. The reason the engine oil is in the back of the car, that is in the back just in case the car leaks a little bit too much oil and we get an engine oil light on. It's an emergency oil reserve, essentially, for an emergency only. Probably been in the car too long too, but it was emergency. So what else? There isn't really much else to really understand. I'm earning interest on money that I've not only borrowed, but I've also gotten credit points, loyalty points, that I can buy something I want later on. It is so nuts. And at the same time, what I bought is actually one of the best ones I could buy on the market. It was the Daytona 2mm thick plate black box. The white ones are 1.6, the black ones are 2mm, and they are very heavy duty. And I'm like, that's what I want to buy. I don't want to buy light crap. I don't want to buy aluminium, and everything's flexible. If things are flexible, too flexible, I'm not happy. When it's not as flexible, that is what I want, man. That's what I want, is high quality stuff. Now, to understand, I can't even install this box on my car, so I will be spending this money in about 2 to 3 months' time. How long is it going to take me to pay off this box? About 2 to 3 months. So it's literally all falls in line, and I'm like, oh my god, what I just pulled just saved me 50 extra bucks that I can spend on something else, and I'm earning interest on the money that I'm not spending today. Oh my god. And it's also because it sounds like I have to pull money out of my savings accounts, right? That's not true. That is not true at all. I get paid in a couple of days from my employment, and that means I can start paying literally in a couple of days. It is just fascinating when you crunch all the numbers and stuff. Like, I'm going to be buying one anyway. So I'm not saving the money today that I would have spent directly today. I literally take it out of my pocket and I'll buy the product. No, I used a thing called leverage. I used the leverage of an interest-free loan to then put money into my savings that allows me to save up a bit more money, and then use the leverage of paying over time in conjunction with my employment income and my, I'll call it pension. I still get a pension, and I want to be clear that the pension is really only going to be there until, I've reached the 5-year mark. I'm tripping over things. But it's only going to be there for about the 5-year mark, because in this economy, I don't feel like a pension is suitable for the lifestyle I need. The lifestyle I need is literally, I need to be mentally working and active. If I'm not mentally active, I'm literally feeling like crap. So, a pension isn't the lifestyle I want. It doesn't give me the lifestyle I need. And I like being creative. I can't afford to be creative on pension. And to understand, I only get just the flat pension. That's it. It's like 4 people, or 3 or 4 people, are paying me to literally stay at home when I don't have employment. But now that I have employment, I am earning 1 to 2 people's tax. And that's paying for things that I'm struggling with. And I need to be clear. It sounds like, oh, I'm ripping off the system and stuff. No. My health does not allow me to push myself hard, and it could just backfire me pushing myself hard, and that's no good for anyone. In fact, that will cost everyone something. Me being able to keep pushing myself to keep going and going and going at a rate that I can comfortably do. Like, I'm feeling chest pains right now. But to do it in a reasonable way is what's going to help me. Like, I want people who see this to not be like, I'm taking advantage of the system. There are people that actually do take advantage of the system, that are caring for people but not really caring for them. Those people who they say they're caring for, those people are actually caring for themselves, not being cared for. So those are the people who actually take advantage of the system. So hopefully, what's the target? 2027 is the 5th year, pretty much, or 2028. It's whatever the doctors pretty much say is a part of the 5-year plan. 5 years is the target to get off the pension. And once I lose the pension, it won't be possible to get back on it, because I'm not in a terminal illness position where I could just die, not a prognosis of 2 years or less. The pension was there as a cushion, as a buffer. It was to get me back on my feet again. I will eventually lose that pension, and I won't be getting it back, not even for a mental health issue, because if I decide to let myself have a mental breakdown, what's going to happen is I'm literally not going to get a pension. I'm not going to get anything. I'm going to be a job seeker when I lose my job, and I'm going to be back to square one with all the crap that I don't want to do, which is why I do not want to be essentially in a position where I have to do job seeking. I would rather be in a position as like an employer, as a boss. People earn the money, and then I can just come and go as I need to or please. And it's more or less what I want to be able to achieve, coming and going as a please. Come in, do the work that needs to be done when people are struggling, and get them through a tough time. If I can be like that guy who can come in and be the one who gets people through the toughest period or tough periods, that's what I'll do. And I'll probably, pay myself even though I'm not going to work, because I'm going to be working on other things. It's just been a pacey sort of thing. So it's like getting shares or a dividend, but in saying that it's a dividend, it's not really. Because the money, that profit needs to really remain with the business. If I'm paying myself from a single business, not fair. I kind of want to look at it from a 5% perspective. If I can earn enough money in a business that's like 30% plus, if it earns more than 30%, then anything over 30% is the money that I will then pay myself from one business. Otherwise, if I go into work, I will then earn 3% plus whatever else I earn extra on top of that from actually working the hours. Then I'll start up another business, 3%. Depending on how many businesses I have up and running that are earning money and earning 30% plus, all of those combined with the 3% figure, net profit, whatever, that 3% is something that I can pay myself from each of those businesses successfully running. And then from that, I have a wage that I built an empire that pays me for creating it in the first place. It is literally like paying myself as a thank you. It's like paying the government in a sense. And I think that's cool, because then I don't have to actually operate the businesses. I can let someone else do it. Someone else work on their opportunities. People think this is like exploitation and stuff and ripping people off. The thing is, I can't solve problems if I'm working in these jobs. I can't make new solutions if I'm stuck and roped into one place. I have to be diverse in things I do. And by being able to sit back and relax getting paid, I can see a problem and I don't have to stress about money to solve it. Like right now, I have to stress about solving every problem. You gotta understand that there's financial logistics of running a business. Like Michael Mechanical is not really financial logistics. It's more now of a vlogging sort of platform, because I was trying to make videos where I just make videos about things like cars and repairs and how to do things and why it's important. And there's already people who do that really, really well. For me, what I'm doing now is, since my health went to shit and I don't really work on cars that much anymore because I have my reasons, like the biggest one is essentially they cost so much money, I can't afford to work on cars. So building a business, building an empire is the way to get into the point where I can find every comfortable avenue that if I want to make a channel based on fixing cars, building cars, I'll have that empire to help back me up into building that platform and building those videos. Things I don't want to do because they make me feel uncomfortable, I then have income that I can use to just pay someone else from my 3% from every business that pay me. And if I have 10 businesses, I'm earning 30% overall from all the businesses' profit margin pretty much. And then from that 30%, I can then give like 15% of that to my living expenses, and then 15% towards building these projects. And then from those projects, they can help pay for themselves and offset my 15 a little bit by helping pay to keep people in those positions. Anywhere there's a real investment opportunity where it's worth doing something, I can do it. People can do it. And the landscapes are going to just keep changing. Things are just going to keep getting harder. And the problem is, I need to be in a position where I can help other people, because I feel like the world is changing and not for the better. And I need to get ahead of the worse so that I can be in the better, that I can then, put out a rope and try to help the people that are they will never be in a position to deal with these problems. Because there's just so many problems in the world, and I'm not going to be around forever. I might never have kids, so who inherits everything? Nobody does. The government. And then the government's not going to care much. They're going to just sell it to someone, use the money for their own personal whatevers, and then someone will buy it, make the profit, live a luxury lifestyle, screw the worker over, and then it's like the cycle just repeat, and people who want to do actual good in the world are going to be pretty much gone. And it's just no way for that to work. Because if you give a greedy person, a really, really greedy person, power, they're going to be greedy with it. I don't want to pay my employees. I want to make money and just profit. I never want to see negatives. The thing is, at the end of the day, I want to see negatives, because if I see negatives, that gives me an opportunity to figure out how to change the dials. A person who's always making profit's never going to have to dial things, because they're always making profit. All they'll do is they'll say, I want more profit, and try to tighten the belts on the little guy. No, I don't want to give him a pay raise. I want to earn more money. Put the product prices up. No, don't give them wage rises. And then they'll have one problem, is the government will force them to comply with the minimum standards. Fuck it. It's only a few cents. The thing is, the world is creating a bad environment for everyone, and we need every advantage we can. And these advantages, this video has just given you a potential advantage in how to buy something, to invest in interesting, earning interest off the money that you were spending in a crazy way, because it doesn't make sense to people. It makes sense to me, because the money I'm spending today, I am now going to start using to save and earn interest on. The money I would spend today, I've locked away an account and I'm earning interest on it. Plus, I put more than that in there. So I'm earning interest off the money I would have otherwise spent directly today. And I've used Afterpay for interest-free loan, which I will keep repaying back, because I'm very good at paying back things. I've only ever had a couple of times where there hasn't been money on the right card. So I realise how my Afterpay works. I have an account with monthly expenses, and that is what's tied to my Afterpay, and that allows me to pay all of my bills, and there is never too much money on it. All of my income, my working income, does not go into any card accounts, because any income I earn, any cards that are exposed to the internet or whatever, cards can have money stolen. Accounts, not so easily, because it has to be transferred from your account. And I found that apparently people have said it's too hard to get money out of my account anyway, from some smoke and regression tests or whatever they call them. But they did tests, and a test case said it was too hard to get money out of that account. Therefore, having an account without a card tied to it means it's hard for you to move money around, hard for them to move money around, and it comes down to bank transactions, directly going into the bank and transacting money, or you directly transacting money on the app and then moving it to a card that can then be used to buy something. It's easy to put money in, hard to take money out. Now, for my monies that are in my accounts, It's pretty safe. It's pretty secure. I wouldn't say anything's Fort Knox because it's impossible to be Fort Knox because anything can be stolen, anything can go wrong, even the world collapsing can be a thing. What I want my value in is not in money, because if there's $200,000 or more in the bank, right? The bank goes bust, you lose whatever's over 200,000 because the government will compensate you up to 200,000 in at least my country. So they'll give you back your 200,000 or whatever it might be as like the government's insurance for your tax money. Because they have to have insurance for the banks, because the banks use the government to make money and whatnot. Yeah. So if my money is tied up in assets and product and all that, I just can't see myself entirely losing unless someone physically steals a product, which it's very hard to steal actual products. I mean, it's been done, people have done it, and then you lose hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, and it gets locked up in the police station and blah, 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 blah. I've heard all of it, and then a product's age determines that it can't be now sold because it's so old. Insurance won't pay to replace it, so you have to learn from an experience and, accept the damages. I heard all this from some rich people, so they've had those experiences where they've started an electrical company, people broke in, stole shit, put it in their vehicle, caught on camera, found the vehicle, called the police took away the vehicle was locked up for a year or two. By the time they got their products from that vehicle, and it was a budget direct truck that the vehicle had electrical items in. By the time they got the truck back with all the electrical equipment items and stuff, like almost $100,000 worth, the items were worth $0 because they were not legally able to be sold because they did not meet the standards of that date in time when they got the product back, because their compliance was outdated. Therefore, they were worthless. All because it was locked in the police station for a year or two. Frick, man. Frick. Lost all that product, couldn't sell it, couldn't get your money back on it. You have dead money. If someone did that with my product, at least I could get a replenishment, and then when that stock comes back in, I have something extra to sell unless it's damaged, and I'd have to write it off, which will be a pain in the butt. So there's a lot of different things you can gather and talk about and learn and so on and so forth. I feel like everyone needs to learn a lot about money, how to take advantage of it, and understand money isn't the real value here. The service and the product is the thing of value. You just use money to exchange for a product or a service or something of value to you. Money is literally paper. Money is an idea that you owe someone something or are owed something. Money does not have to have real world value because it only has essentially hypothetical value. Why do you think if the economy completely crashes, you can't trade with money? Money ain't worth nothing because it ain't worth nothing. If the economy crashes, it's dead. Why do you think crypto is worth so much? Because the idea of it is worth so much that your money is so safe and secure, and then people are able to make interest off of it, and it takes some losers to, make winners and winners to make losers, and because so many people are tying their money up just for one piece of Bitcoin. Literally, think about it. If everyone invests into trying to get one part of a Bitcoin, it just pushes the value of Bitcoin up, and then the people at the top will sell. The value of Bitcoin comes down. Those people at the top will then rebuy and at a lower rate, and then everyone's going to try and push that value back up again. No one's going to understand it. Realistically, no one's going to understand it. There's losers and winners. If everyone is worth something, everyone wins. Now, in saying that, it's the smart people who are winning with Bitcoin. There is also the possibility that I'm wrong in everything I just said about Bitcoin. There's a possibility, there's a reason that it's intrinsically more valuable. I don't know, but there's only ever going to be so many of Bitcoin. And a slice of Bitcoin is worth so much, and the people who've invested in it and created its value are going to be people who get paid out the most for having even 1,000. 1,000 Bitcoin. What's 1,000 worth? Well, I can tell you 10's worth 700,000, 100's worth 7 million, and 1,000's worth 70 million. So, yeah, it is crazy how much money Bitcoin is worth now because of people have inflated its value. I think investing is a great idea for the people who have the right mindset, but I feel like building a business, building an empire, has a lot more intrinsic value, mental value, stability, and control within your hands. You can control it. You can dial it up, you can dial it down. You can be fair, you can be the opposite. The thing is, at the end of the day, I might be on a pension, people might be mad about it. But you've got to understand, at the end of the day, even when I build a empire, that money that I earn will end up paying someone's